So today I want to do a quick home buyer 101, and I want to talk to you about what to save when you're thinking of buying a house. Now, most people go, well, how much do I need down? What's the down payment I need? And that's what they're focusing on, which is a great thing to focus on. But it's important to know that there's other costs to consider when buying a house. And a lot of these are very obvious, but it's just, you don't think about it. You're thinking about the down payment because that's that big chunk, but it's something you do want to consider. Now, the first thing, of course, is the down payment. And there's different down payment programs depending on, what your income is, what your assets are, what your credit score is. So you want to make sure you talk to a lender before you put in your head what you need to save. There's still a lot of people that think you need 20%. You don't. You don't. And there's some people that go, well, if you can't do 20%, you shouldn't buy a house. That's like advice from 1954. Like, the world has changed. There's a lot of programs with lower down payments that are good and they're not predatory. Whereas in the 80s, yeah, I'm sure they probably were. And that's where a lot of that advice is coming from. It's coming from people who haven't looked at the mortgage market since the 80s. So, first thing, talk to a lender so that you can figure out what type of down payment you need to have in order to have a payment you're comfortable with. And I say comfortable with because that's more important than what a lender can qualify you for. I cover this in every video. What a lender can qualify you for is more than you will ever want to pay unless you love having no money and just writing your house payment and crying because you can't have, cable or a cell phone or childcare or anything. So, okay, down payment. Talk to the lender to figure that out. The second thing is closing costs. So there's certain areas in the country where the seller might help with the closing costs, and there's certain areas in the country where if you ask for it, they will laugh at you for 20 minutes straight and then tear up your offer and throw it away. So it's very important to talk to a realtor about, hey, what should I expect? Is it normal for me to need to come in with closing costs? Is that something we can get the seller to cover? And this is an important question because closing costs can be 2 to 3% of the loan amount. If you're doing a very, a lower loan, like $100,000 loan, it can be 6%, 5-6%. So you want to know because it's always a bummer when you save the down payment and then everyone goes, well, wait, how are you going to pay for closing costs? Okay. The third thing is inspections. Yes, inspections. So when you are in the process of buying a house, there's certain inspections you're going to do. And once again, based on the state and everywhere else, there'll be different inspections. But the two big ones I always see is a home inspection and a pest inspection. Those are the two that I consistently see, people doing. It's what I would do if I bought a house. Now, if I bought a house that had a well or a septic system, I would be getting those reports also. Now, reports aren't cheap. They can be anywhere from $200 a piece to $1,000 a piece. Once again, it depends on where you are and what the property is. But that's another thing you're going to have to be prepared to write checks for because the lender's not going to cover it. The realtor's not going to cover it. You might negotiate with the seller to do it, but once again, it depends on where you are. Now, another thing, you're already oh, I'm never going to buy a house. You will, don't worry. Moving expenses. Yeah, moving expenses. If you can get people to help you and give them pizza, cool, do that. I strongly support, getting a U-Haul and getting your friends to move you. That's fantastic. But if you can't, it's a good idea to price out how much a move will cost. It can be a lot, I've had moves where they're very expensive, but in the circumstance, I didn't have 20 people that wanted to do it for pizza. And I'm very particular and I wanted, everything wrapped up in bubble and I wanted it massaged before it went, babied. So you've got to think about that because when you are using free labor, you get what you get. You can't be like, oh, Bob, you broke the leg off my table. No, Bob's doing it for free. If he breaks stuff, it's fine. You have no control if you're using free labor. At least in my world, you don't. And And then also the house you're looking at, does it have all the appliances? Sometimes it doesn't. Or sometimes it will have, you'll go in and there'll be this big, beautiful refrigerator and you'll be like, yes, I've always wanted that refrigerator. And then the sellers will take it. So you want to make sure you know what's the condition of the appliances. Is there anything I'm going to have to pay for the moment I walk through the door? And some of this stuff, will come up in your purchase contract. Is the seller going to take that refrigerator? Do you get it? Who gets the washing machine and dryer? That's like, washing machine and dryer are normally not included. Like, I don't see them included a lot. So if you want it, you better ask for it now. If not, I hope you have some money to buy a washer and dryer if you don't have one yet. So that's another thing to consider. And then there's other stuff that will add up, because as soon as you start looking at a house, you're going to go, oh my gosh, we need a new sofa, we need this, we need that, we need this. So you just want to make sure you're being realistic with how much money you need to save. So talk to a lender to figure out the right down payment for the monthly payment you're comfortable with. Get a good grip on loan programs available. Be very wary of lenders that go, oh yeah, don't worry about anything, we'll do 100%, blah. Be afraid. You need to know what that payment's going to be, because whenever a lender tells you don't worry, but they won't give you a payment, you should worry for sure. So talk to a good lender and get that down payment that you're comfortable with. And then you're going to talk to the realtor to see what's customary in the area, because seriously, it can differ from like throwing a rock over a street on what's acceptable and what's not. I'm in an area right now because I'm quarantined. I'm alive, that's good. Where realistically, if you're in one town, if you go to the next town, rules are different. It's the next town. It's literally a 2-minute car drive. Rules are completely different. So you really want to make sure you're talking to a local realtor about what to expect there. I would also be asking the realtor what to expect with inspection cost. If they aren't familiar with the cost, that's a red flag, because realtors who do a decent amount of business, they're going to know that. It's not something lenders generally deal with, because we don't order the inspections. That's not what we do. We order the appraisal, but I don't order well reports or any of that. That's one of the things the realtor does with you. So you want to get from them, like, what should I expect? If they don't have it and you're using like a family friend who doesn't really do real estate but has a license, okay, call a couple companies and get some quotes. And then in terms of moving, if you don't have those 20 people, you're going to want to call a couple moving companies and get realistic quotes from them as well. And then in terms of appliances and like, does it need a new roof? Does it not? That's going to depend on the house. I would figure out those other things first, because those are the big ticket items. Down payment, closing costs, inspections, moving costs. Those are your big ticket items. Really in order. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them. I'm licensed in 37 states. I do mortgages. I have to tell people that, because I really do get calls where people are like, do you do mortgages? And I'm like, no, I do this for fun. Anyways, okay, thank you for watching, and I hope this helps.